Welcome back to the Dentistry Invest podcast. Another exciting episode on the topic of squats. And you know the thing about squats, you can never know enough about taking that leap, about making that decision to step into the world of owning a dental practice. Having said that, nothing can quite prepare you until you're actually there and in that position. I'm sure my guest today will attest to that. Having said that, though, if you can have as much information as possible, then you're going to increase the likelihood of you having a successful dental practice at the end of the day. And I've got a wonderful guest to speak with me on that very topic today. His name is Adrian Mateas, and Adrian Mateas has quite the CV when it comes to setting up dental squat practices. We're going to come on to that in just a second. But before we do, how are you today, Adrian?
Hi, James. I'm good. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's my absolute flipping pleasure. And you know what, Adrian, it'd be really nice. I was just thinking it'd be really lovely if we could have a little bit of a bio from yourself with regards to your experience in dentistry, number one, and specifically squat practices.
Yes, of course. Well, I started, in 2014. I knew nothing about setting up dental practices, nothing. I was a total newbie. And how it happened that my wife she's a dentist. My wife said she was looking to, work here in the UK. We just moved in the UK into 2013. She just got her GDC number. She was looking to work and she couldn't find. She applied many places and no practice, would accept her. And she said, look, I'm even willing to do like to do it for free, for example, at the beginning, to just go there and volunteer. And no practice would accept her even as a volunteer.
Wow, really?
So I kind of got mad, and I said, you know what? We're gonna start our own practice.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna build our own practice. We knew nothing. But probably being young, being a bit foolish, young and foolish, and we decided we're gonna open our practice. So because we started, we just had to finish it, So we knew nothing. We estimated foolishly that we're gonna need probably 30,000-40,000 pounds to open the dental practice, and it was a two-surgery dental practice. That was in 2014, but then we ended up probably 120,000 pounds to open it.
Holy guac.
So more, way more than we because we had no knowledge of what it entails. We still kept the costs, lower than probably other companies would have done for us because we've done most of the work ourselves. I had experience on the construction side. I had a construction company before, so yeah. So that's why we did all the construction ourselves. But then nobody teaches you, or at that time we had no one that had like podcasts or courses on how to set up a dental practice. We couldn't find someone at that time. So we kind of had to learn everything the hard way, like, regarding CQC, regarding regulations, regarding policies, procedures, stuff, how to run the dental practice after you open it, because many people think that it's very hard. The hard part is to open a dental practice. They don't think about the hard part, running the dental practice after you open it, the first 1-2 years of the dental practice after you set it up as well. So it was hard, but we got there. So we learned the hard way. And then after we opened this practice, which by the way, then we sold it in 2019, just because we moved in a different area to live with our kids, our family. So we just sold it and opened another one. So since then, we opened another practice in the Watford area. Right now, I'm finishing at the end of this month, opening a new dental practice in Birmingham. And so these are our practices. But then I helped some friends to open their practices as well. So I had my brother-in-law open like 1.5 years ago, a dental practice in East London, and I helped 3 other friends. So around other 4 practices that I helped other people to open. So I was there standing there and thinking, I've opened 3 with this one, in building 3 practices for myself, I helped others to help to open 4 practices. For me now to open the dental practice from squat, I know the entire process. Not that it's not hard now. I know everything that needs to be done, the entire process. So I was thinking, why not, expand on this and make it official to help more people, dentists that they want to become practice owners, because I've seen many dentists that I've come in contact with that they want to go then from being an associate to being something more, to expand, to have their own practice. And it's either the fear of, will it work? Will I know what to do? Or will I have the time? Because they need to still go and be on the chair side seeing patients. So can I do the practice? Can I open a practice? Can I go through the entire process? I don't have the time. So time, knowledge, and that's why I said, look, that's where I come in. That's where I can help dentists that want to grow.
Awesome. And that's very much the spirit of this podcast, 100%. And actually, on more macroscopic level, the spirit of Dentists Who Invest, which is making this knowledge available to people. Because the coolest thing about this knowledge, the knowledge that's slightly outside of the academic knowledge that we're given in our dental careers. What's the academic knowledge? We go to university, here's how you drill a tooth, here's what caries is, here's what a root canal is, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's almost like a formula. They just give it to you and then you learn it and then you get the degree, But lots of these things that we're talking about today, there is no qualification from it. You just got to do it in life, or you got to find someone who can do it. Those are your only really 2 reservoirs of information. Yeah. So you either go through all the pain, struggle, and heartache that comes alongside it, or you go through still some pain, struggle, and heartache because it's not easy, but you have someone who can oversee things and say, do this, do this, do this, do this, blah, 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 something along those lines.
Yeah.
And that's where we're coming in today. And I'm sure that you can look back, you can probably see younger versions of yourself in lots of these people who are going to start out to practice. And it's almost like you're talking to a younger version of Adrian, which I think is a really cool way of looking at it. And it's also probably why it hits like right here in the heart, because you can just see yourself going through the same things and it motivates you, doesn't it? But listen, anyway, less talking from me. Let's go back to whenever you opened your first squat practice. Circa what era was that? Was it 2010-ish?
No, 2014.
2014, right, wonderful. Okay, cool. And then since then we've had 1, 2, 3 practices personally, and also other people that you've helped as well, by the sounds of it. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, here's a cool one, and here's a cool question. Here's a cool place to start. Obviously, when you're setting up the squat practice, usually there's some building work involved. Now, you've actually got a really interesting perspective and history on this. You used to run a construction company. Right?
Yes.
Did I catch that?
Yes.
That's cool as hell, man.
So, because my history, look, when I'm not originally from the UK. Okay, I moved here.
Yeah.
First time I came to the UK was 2007. When I was still a student in my country. So
how old were you? How old were you? 2007.
17. I was 17.
Wow.
But I used to come here during summertime just to earn some money for my studies at home. So I was in university, so just to earn some money during the summertime. So like 3 months during summertime, I would come here to work. My father was here working in construction. I would just come here and just work in construction with him. So when I came here to UK, we came here in 2013, and then when I came here with my family full time, I had to, start work because I've had one daughter already. So we weren't like GDC registered or anything, so we had to quickly do something to earn some money to make a day-to-day living. So I already worked construction in the UK, like during summer times. I said, look, I'm just going to open a construction company. I'm just carry on with construction until the dental side happens, So and I worked in construction as well,
Bloody amazing. So let's pull that into the world of dentistry. Let's pull that experience into the world of dentistry. How did that help you whenever it came to setting up the practice? What potential pitfalls were there for someone who didn't necessarily have that background, that you look at dentists when they're setting up squat practice and you're like, oh my God, don't fall for this. don't let this happen to you. How did that experience help you, is what I'm saying?
Well, I think with the construction side is that you've got companies that do the, construction work for you that you hire, and they can, they overcharge in my perspective. And sometimes if they give you a quotation, half of that, sometimes half of that's materials, half of that is their, labor or profits or whatever, So for me, I will just kind of waive all that almost 50% because I will just hire, workers that I will pay their, their salary, and that's it, and it's a way cheaper way to do it. Plus, even when I'm in the construction now, I've done the construction. There are still some parts that I still have to outsource. For example, I have to outsource because we didn't do that at the time. Now we're doing, but first to practice, we had to outsource the flooring, the clinical flooring, So we had to outsource someone to do it. Now I have someone in my team that does it. But for the first two practice, I didn't have someone. But I will get quotations, like very high quotation. I've got like 8,000-9,000 pounds just to put the flooring in 3 surgeries. It's like, come on, that's too crazy. Because still being on this field, I can see it's a crazy quotation. So I will then search until I found someone way cheaper, so like probably half that price. So, or someone that we were in Watford location, we were not forced, but we had to have sprinkler system installed, not just normal, fire extinguishers. We had to have a sprinkler system installed. So we were forced by the shopping center to use their company. And their company, they would charge us for 2-day work just to change 3 points for the sprinkler system that my plumber could have done probably for 1,000 pounds or even less.
Wow.
They would charge us 15,000 pounds, 2-day work. But then because, but I went back to them. I insisted many times until we got it to another company that they allowed us to use to about 6,000 pounds instead of 15,000 pounds. So yeah, I think, if you have no knowledge of the construction side, then it's very easy for you to be, just accept whatever quotation is given. You don't know and said, okay, they're the professionals, we should just accept. And I think, yeah, that's one of the
That's a biggie. So there's
really.
too much of that going on in your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So construction costs and keeping them down, huge factor, huge thing that you learned, given your background. What other things did you find as well? What other things
Well,
you look
also,
back and yeah?
yeah, also in the construction, because I'm also on a Facebook group, startup squad practices, I think, or startup dentistry, something like that on Facebook, where other dentists or practice owners are giving advice of when starting a dental practice. And I can see the people either receiving quotes, very high quotes from specialized companies that they specialize on the dentistry field, or they're looking, just go for normal builder who can just do it for you way cheaper. But that normal builder doesn't know the regulations on the dental side. So he might do it, but he might miss some of the regulations, and he might miss some of the rules and what to do here and how to do it here, the dimensions and the sizes and yeah. So you might at the end you just do and you just do it, and then the end when CQC inspection comes, it's just like, and why is this like this? And then you just, what do you do now? Start to redo it, invest more money.
So do it right the first time with a specialist.
Yeah.
and make
But
sure.
specialists, but who won't rip you off. So
Yeah, who won't rip you off? You know, I heard something really interesting the other day, and you'll know more about this than me. And I definitely wouldn't want anybody to act off the back of what I'm about to say purely and solely. Definitely one to run past your accountant. But basically, what I heard was that let's say you've got all this money in a limited company and you're investing it into your squat to get it up and running. It's only
yeah.
tax deductible or the building expenses if you specifically say on the invoice that these are dental specialist flooring and dental specialist walls. And if you don't
Hmm.
do that, it's not tax deductible. So if HMRC come knocking and they investigate you for whatever reason, well, you'll get a nasty surprise tax bill unless the invoice specifically says this. Run it by your accountants, everybody. It's why it's good to have a specialist dental accountant, but that's a huge thing to watch out for in squat
Yeah.
practices. So I've come across this. Definitely ask your accountant, guys, before you rush off and do anything on that. I'm just curious, Adrian, have you ever come across that as well?
Well, I haven't come across it because I'm doing the things a bit, different. So,
Oh.
well, for all the construction for the sites I'm doing everything, I have another company
Mm.
that I'm doing the construction only. Because as a dentist, the company can't VAT register it. So then, even when you're doing all the investment of the construction, you can recover your 20%. You invest probably 100, 200,000 pounds and no VAT, you don't recover anything as a dentist. But then if you open another company and you register it as a construction company, you register it for VAT, and then you set up your squat practice and you recover your investment over 20%, the VAT.
Well, listen, I'm so glad that I brought up that fact that I came across the
So
other day because it spurred you on to say that, which could be incredibly invaluable for somebody as well, which is amazing.
yeah, so there are lots of tricks and tips and stuff that you can do. So that's why I'm saying that things that I can help, other
And this is the thing, because
dentists.
that'll save somebody a fortune, right? And you know what? Actually, let's continue in this spirit. Let's talk. I think what we should focus on today is high level tips and tricks that one can use in order to save money in the squat practice or expedite its success somehow. So, in that vein, I'm wondering if you've got anything more along those lines.
Well, I think from the perspective of opening the practice, it's just that you have to do the practice kind of yourself, or in this instance, I can help you, and we can discuss more how I can help someone to open cost-effective dental practice with my help, keeping the cost low. Um, this was one of with the VAT, and some other things might be one other tip. Don't go for the extra expensive stuff. For example, in the cabinets in the surgeries, if you buy them from a company, they cost how much for one surgery, one pack of cabinetry? Over 5,000, 6, 7, whatever. Yeah, that's the cost of a cabinetry in a surgery. Why do you need to buy that expensive? You can buy, for example, you can go and buy the top high-end cabinetry from IKEA, and it costs you probably 1,500, 1,600 per surgery in terms of 5,000, 6,000. You still put the Korean worktop on top, of course,
Yes.
but the actual cabinets, why do you spend 5,000 pounds when you can spend 1,500? So those type of things that you can look at cheaper options, that's very, very good as well. But in terms of, but you can save money.
Yes, or cheaper, however, just as good in terms of they'll do the job. Much better value, right? Is another way of looking at
Yeah,
it, which is what we're getting at here, which is wonderful. Dental tax is a thing. I'm sure you've heard of dental tax before.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool, man. Well, listen, lots to chew on for the listeners on the cost saving side of things when it comes to setting up a squat practice. What about things we need to do to ensure the day that we open the doors of the practice that is a successful opening and we've got loads of patients and everything along those lines?
Well, I think from my experience, I think you need to take a few points. I think, and the first one is location. I think if you choose a good location if you're dental practice, the first practice we chose wasn't a good location. We thought it is a good location. It was close to Canary Wharf. It was just next to the DLR station. So we said, "Oh, it's a perfect location." No, it wasn't. On paper, it sounded good, but it wasn't a good location. So we had to rely heavily on marketing to bring patients in. Okay. Our second practice in Watford, it's a very, very good location, high, foot traffic. In our first 2 years of opening, we had to do zero marketing. We just had patients just because they will see us the practice there. Zero marketing. The first 2 years, we just grew like this with no marketing. Then after the second year, we started with marketing just because we wanted to even grow more than that. But location is a very important point in having a successful practice. Then it is, of course, you can do paid marketing or free marketing as well on social media. You can use with your Facebook page, you might advertise, because every location where you go, they have either Facebook groups of local Facebook groups, or there's another application, I think there's Next Door called. So you can advertise for free there to the local people, in your area as well. So you've got some tools that can help. And also, I think, another thing to be successful, it's having being prepared from the start. Because if you just prepare the surgery itself, but people come in and from reception to nurse, they're not ready, prepared, and trained when they receive the first patients, you might get bad reviews. And if you get bad reviews in your first weeks, months, that will have a very, very negative impact, and it will be harder to recover. So just be prepared. If you have the right policies, procedures in place, your staff is trained, you've got the right staff hired. So the entire experience of the patient, from when they contact you, either by email, phone, to when the step foot in your practice, to be a very good experience, a 5-star experience. So yeah, because another thing is word of mouth. People will just tell others if they had a good experience about your practice. So yeah, there are a few points, and probably some others that are just not remembering right now, but just a few points that you need to be careful at all of them, and then as a package, if you have those, the practice will be successful.
Wow, awesome. Love it. So it's about making sure a component of what you're saying is making sure operations are slick. So when that first patient comes in through the door, that experience for them is just as good as the 1,000th patient or the 10,000th patient.
Yeah. Well, let's be realistic. At the beginning, you might still have some hiccups and mistakes and stuff. Might still have, but also if you've got good policies and procedures in place, you can address those issues properly. If you have a complaint, you know how to deal with that complaint. As a manager or practice owner, you need to know how to deal with that complaint, so that complaint turns into positive. You know how to solve it, and then how to continue to train your staff, or if some staff they're not capable of working how they should, how to change the staff and find adequate staff. So I know the first 1 year of the practice, it's still kind of greasing all the all the joints and everything to work properly. So the first year is still finding the right staff, changing things. But if you don't know what you're doing and you haven't done this before, that first year might turn into 2-3 years until you establish the practice correctly. But if you got someone to help you, and you don't start from zero, you start probably from 60 or 70%, then it's much easier to have everything set up, sooner than, later down the line.
Love it, my man. Thanks so much. And you know what? You said location was key and super
Yeah.
important. How do you assess location in your mind? As in, what makes a good location versus a not so good location?
Well, foot traffic as well, but you need to first think, who will be my patients? Who will be my target market? So decide, what type of treatments will I have? General treatments? Will this be a family practice? Will this be an NHS practice, mixed, private? Will I have more like, will I go on more like implants or ortho, or who will be my target patients? Then you can see if the location is good for your target patients. Because if you're looking for high-end treatments, for example, and that location, the patients are relying heavily on NHS, it won't work. Even if you have high foot traffic, it won't work, because they're looking for NHS. You're coming here with, high private fees. So you need to first establish, what's your target market, and then you do a market analysis and see, if that location is right for you, for your target market, and then in that location to find a good spot with high foot traffic as well.
Awesome, man.
But then, there are lots of other things that you need to be careful when analyzing the location, because there are other costs involved. Each location depends how much you have to invest in renovating or doing the build, what's the status of that location. And also you have the cost, that how big is this space, business rates, all other costs involved. So yeah, you need to do a proper kind of evaluation of the location and all the conditions that will be imposed by the landlord and for the lease.
Good stuff. Some great tips there. And you know what? You said something really interesting, because we talked about the staff in the practice, and recruitment is obviously a hot topic in UK dentistry at the moment. How do you go about getting the right staff so that whenever the practice opens, that you have all the pieces in place to ensure that patient experience is amazing?
Well, I think from what I've seen, yeah, it's not easy to get the right stuff. It's not easy.
It's one of the biggest factors, right?
Yes, it's the biggest factors. And but I think if you have, you, let's say, advertise for staff to hire, positions, that you have positions open, and you have X amount of people that are interested that come for an interview. You just need to be careful and kind of try and read during the interview the people, and then I think you need to kind of put the right questions in at the interview, and to put the focus on the aspects that are of interest for you. For me, for example, at my practice, it's not so much, for example, if I'm looking for a nurse or a receptionist, it's not so much, have you got this many years of experience, 10 years or whatever. No, even if you got only 1 year of experience, doesn't matter. What's your attitude? What's your way of working with your colleagues, with the team? Are you a team worker? What's your attitude towards team management and the practice itself when you come to work, and towards the patients? That's the ideal thing, because if you don't have all the knowledge and experience, we're going to train you. I rather prefer to, if you don't have the entire knowledge, to train you to how we do things, but you've got the proper attitude. That's the hardest, because you don't have the proper attitude. That most of the times that can't be learned or taught. So I think that's, you need to know for what you're looking when you're hiring the staff. And sometimes you might still, not decide correctly, but then that's how you have a probationary period for each staff, and yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah, after you open a practice, if someone looks, I'm opening my first practice and I'm looking to open a second practice, a third practice in the future. And after you have your own first practice and people kind of know you, so you've got a reputation, it's easier to find good stuff. But yeah.
Fair enough. And in order to do that, well, it's about taking action and about taking the leap in the first place, isn't it? What you're saying is it's encouraging because it gets easier.
It gets easier. No, it gets easier. I think even the first practice, it's the hardest, when you start something, the first steps are the hardest, but if you got assistance, it will be easier, but it will get easier as you go.
Yeah, man. No, 100%. Because you can copy and paste a lot of the stuff that you use in your first practice into your second practice. It's just like any business. It's just sorry. It's just like any business, really. It's that first leap, that first step to getting the first building, which is kind of like the franchise in a way, and then you just copy and paste like 80% of it in the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure you find that.
Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah. Cool, my man. All right. Well, listen, I was just curious as well. Just one more thing, because this is an interesting one, a contentious one as well. NHS versus private.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are any of your practices that you set up NHS, or are they all private, or how does that look?
All private.
Oh, la la.
No, so no, I'm not interested to go on the NHS side. Look, my practices that I've done, I was interested to kind of be more on, to have quality work, best quality everywhere. So that's why even in our practices, we have like the best equipment we can find. And, we're trying to have the best associates, best dentists, and treatments as well to be the best quality. So for example, in our practice, we're trying to, so that doesn't mean that, if someone wants to come to me to help them open a practice, if they want to mix practice, or, it still works. This was just my preference in my own personal practices. So in my own personal practices, we try to do everyone to do their specialty. So we have a few general dentists. For example, the one in Watford, we've got about 14 dentists, 1/4, so 14 dentists. So we got 5 general dentists, and then we've got specialists. So general dentists, no general dentist does endo. For all endos, just go to specialist, because all endos are done under microscope. Okay, so we're trying to do, what's best. So the best type of treatment. So yeah, and that's all our practices are very high. So for our practice, we have like CBCT with cephalo, cephalometric, microscope we've got from Zeiss Extaro. So we're looking for the best equipment in-house to have. But yeah, that was our preference for our practices, to go for more the high-end approach. But so that's what I said before when deciding your target market, because we attract those type of patients that looking for that type of treatments, high quality, they're willing to pay more. But also we know that we're not targeting the patients that are looking for like a cheaper option. So we've got a lot of patients that are calling us, oh, are you NHS? No, sorry, they just hang up. Or patients that just call, oh, asking for treatment, oh, that's too expensive for me, just hang up. So I know if someone decides to target that type of market, that's fine. There are patients for that type of, treatments. But they are looking for cheaper options. We're just targeting this market. So yeah.
And that's what's worked for you. And that's the main thing, because it's obviously going pretty well, and you've got to a level now where you're willing to help other dentists, other dentists succeed in this arena too, off the back of your own success. So listen, hats off to you, mate. And you know what? Talking to you, Adrian, I really get the impression we're just scratching the surface of what you know, mate, because I know that in each
Yeah.
and every one of these areas that we're talking about, there's way more to it, probably way more time than we have today for a 30-40 minute podcast. However, I am looking forward to getting you back at some stage. That'll be super fun. But I was just curious, just before we wrap up, how does life look for you now, Adrian? How many days a week is it in the clinic? How many days in a week is it doing admin? Do you have time that you ring fence that is family time? How does it look? How does it look for you?
So for me now, I'm focusing more on expanding the business and practices. So in the practice, actually working in the practice, it's less and less, probably 1 day a week or less. I've got associates. I'm pushing that more to the associates work, and I'm just focusing more on the business side
Top
and
man,
management side.
top man.
So yeah.
Reading between the lines, it sounds like that's the side that excites you way more than the clinical dentistry. Not that there's anything wrong with clinical dentistry, it's just your preference.
Yeah, just my preference. Yeah, too.
Hey,
Yeah, that's what excites me. I think that's I like to do more, and I think that will give more returns in the future.
fair play. It's that working on the business slash versus working in the business adage. Have you come across that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Working in being doing the nitty gritty daily stuff. Working on is
yeah.
thinking bigger and scaling and planning and delegating and all those sorts of things.
I think that's the fear of everyone. Like leaving something that you have in your hand, like, oh, I've got this salary, I'm working, seeing patients. Should I give this up and start working on the business or something more? The fear that, oh, if I'm doing this, probably I'll lose this, and can I afford to leave or whatever? So that's the fear of
Yeah.
moving from this side to the other.
I'm just itching to say something on what you've just said. Someone gave me this really good way of figuring out, is it something that you can delegate, or is it something that's in the business or on the business? And basically what they said was anything that's repetitive is an in the business task. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh my God, that's just the easiest way to figure out what I can delegate and not. And and listen, dentistry's varied, but here's the thing. It's like there's loads of protocols, and you can give that to someone else and you can learn it. So the clinical dentistry, well, it is a little bit more repetitive than the working on the business stuff, because that's scaling and ideas. So when someone said that to me, I was like, right. So if I choose to, because it is all about preference as well, someone might like to do the clinical dentistry, that's fine. But if I choose to, and if it's repetitive, those are the first things that you can delegate
yeah,
to somebody else in order to think bigger and in order to figure out what is an in the business task versus an on the business task. I thought that was really cool.
yeah. But I think it's just the fear. It's just the fear of, oh, will they do the same type of job that I was doing if I delegate, or will I lose money? That's just the fear. But yeah, we just need to let the fear go and delegate and grow the business. Yeah,
Boom, boom. All about stepping outside of comfort zones. And actually, when you feel the fear, you know you're in the right place, because that actually means that you're growing as well. So, really,
yeah,
we want to take that to an extreme. If we're not stepping outside of our comfort zone enough and growing enough, then what it probably means is we aren't experiencing enough fear, so to speak. So, if you can
yeah,
reframe that fear as you growing and you growing your business, that's actually a really cool thing, because then you'll actually seek it out because you know that it's good for you, depending on your goals and
yeah,
objectives.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Adrian, as I was saying just a second ago, I'm sure we could stretch this out to about 5 podcasts, but we've only got about 40 minutes today. So, on that note, we'll definitely get you back at some stage to speak more on this, because I know that we're only scratching the surface of your knowledge, which is wonderful. This was a good high level synopsis today. Adrian, if anybody has listened to the podcast and they'd love to reach out to you, where are they best off finding you?
So we just finished our website. So we've got the website where they can, find me and what we do as well. So there are more details on the website. The website is called dentalpracticefactory.co.uk.
I love that, mate. Dental Practice
So
Factory.
dentalpracticefactory.co.uk. So that's why I came up with the name Dental Practice Factory, because it's in a factory. A product is done from scratch to finish. So that's the help out that we're getting from zero. From location scouting, lease negotiations, all the CQC registration, construction, design of the practice, and then everything to equipment, financing. And then we go even more, helping with waste management, phone lines, social media, the entire setup, which no company helps, at the moment, doing from zero to, and even we can help after opening the dental practice. So it's like the full package helps. It's like in a factory, you do, you got the finished product, nice and shiny.
Love it, my man. That's bloody brilliant. And listen, what an inspirational story. I'm already looking forward to the next episode. Adrian, I hope you have a smashing day, and I know that we're going to speak again very soon.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.